Memphis, Tennessee, a city whose name is carved into the story of American music, civil rights, and Southern culture. It's the home of the blues, the birthplace of rock and roll, and the final resting place of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But behind the music and the history lies another story, one written in crime reports, poverty statistics, and lives cut short. Memphis is not simply just struggling with crime, it is battling to escape the title of the most dangerous city in the United States. Memphis has been consistently topping national rankings for violent crime. In 2023, the city recorded 397 homicides. In 2024, the number dipped to just over 200, but the city's violent crime rate remains over 6 times the national average, at roughly 2,400 incidents per 100,000 residents. Here, the odds of falling victim to violent crime are about 1 in 41, and for property crime, 1 in 14. Memphis is one of the poorest large cities in America, with over 22% of its population living below the poverty line, and more than a third of its children growing up in poverty. The median household income sits at just over $51,000, with per capita income at about $32,000, far below national averages. Unemployment hovers near 6%, but for some neighborhoods, the real number is much higher. These economic conditions create fertile ground for desperation, and desperation breeds violence. Memphis has been a stronghold for organized street gangs for decades. Estimates vary, but law enforcement reports between 50 and 100 active gangs in the city, with membership totaling over 13,000 people. Many are factions of national organizations like the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, Bloods, Crips, and MS-13. Areas like South Memphis, Orange Mound, Frazier, Whitehaven, and Raleigh are well-known strongholds, each with its own territorial lines, rivalries, and histories of bloodshed. Gang rivalries have erupted in violence that makes headlines, but much more often, the bloodshed happens quietly. Retaliations, turf disputes, and targeted killings that never make the evening news. In 2025 alone, the federal government indicted 8 members of the Young Mob gang on racketeering charges that included murder, drug trafficking, and armed robbery. Other groups, like the local All Off the Blade set, have been tied to high-profile shootings and organized criminal enterprises. Memphis's position as a transportation hub, anchored by the nation's busiest cargo airport and major freight routes, has made it a strategic point for drug and weapons trafficking, fueling the underworld economy. The Memphis Police Department is tasked with confronting this tide of violence, but the challenges are immense. Federal funding cuts in the mid-2000s reduced the force by more than 23%, leaving fewer officers to cover one of the highest crime cities in America. Officers often face an uphill battle, outnumbered by gang networks, hindered by outdated resources, and working in neighborhoods where trust in law enforcement has been fractured by years of tension and incidents of misconduct. The death of Tyree Nichols in 2023 and the high-profile trials that followed only deepened the divide between police and the communities they serve. Economically, Memphis is a city of contrasts. It's home to FedEx's global headquarters, a massive shipping industry, and a rich agricultural corridor. Yet these industries have not lifted the entire city. Over the last decade, population decline, disinvestment, and the flight of both capital and middle-class families have left hollowed-out neighborhoods where opportunity is scarce. From 2017 to 2022, 30,000 residents left Memphis, many citing safety and economic instability as the reason. Businesses close, property values fall, and in the absence of legitimate opportunity, the underground economy, drugs, stolen goods, and illicit weapons fills the gap. The story of Memphis is not just one of crime, it's one of resilience in the face of it. But the reality is harsh. Poverty, entrenched gang networks, struggling policing systems, and economic stagnation form a cycle that is difficult to break. Without significant and sustained investment in jobs, education, housing, and public trust, the city risks carrying this title, America's most dangerous city, for years to come.